Can you see?
Yeah.
Can everybody see?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're live.
So last week we started this project of adding bar lines and understanding key signatures. So the first one, we are in bass clef, which doesn't matter for the bar line, but just take a note of that. What's our time signature? 6/8. Can everybody say 6/8?
6/8.
So how many beats do we have in a measure?
6.
Now what kind of a note is getting the beat?
8.
The eighth note. Very good. So the quaver, right? So that means that is one beat. So we have 1, 2, 3. How many beats does the quarter note or the crotchet get?
Half.
Other way.
Whole.
Whole. I don't understand. Are you talking about steps or beats?
I don't know mine.
Okay. So how many beats does the quarter note or the crotchet get? How many eighth notes are in a quarter note? Well, then an eighth note would be the same as a quarter note. It can't be the same, girls. Catherine, how many eighth notes are in a quarter note? How many T's are in a ta?
1.
Then it would be the same. If I have a ta and I want to use T's instead, how many do I have to draw, Giovanni?
2.
2. Right? I need a T to make a ta. I need 2 eighth notes to make a quarter note. So how many beats does this get now that we're counting eighth notes? Giovanni? How many eighth notes did you tell me were in the quarter note?
2.
So how many beats does the quarter note get? 2. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So where does the missing bar line go? Saria, do you know? Mabel, do you know? Olivia? Catherine? Maybe we should figure it out together. So how many beats is the dotted eighth quarter note gonna get?
3.
3 plus
2.
2 plus,
1.
how many do I have?
3. 6.
3 plus 2 plus 1 is 6. So I need a measure line. Right?
Do you use it reversibly with bar line? No.
Measure line and bar line are synonymous, yeah. And then we have how many beats? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now in this one, we're working on the time signature and the key signature. And I wrote it out so that you could see the difference between 6/8 and 3/4 time. Because I get asked all the time, because this is equal to 3/4 notes or 6/8 notes. This is equal to 3/4 notes or 6/8 notes. So what's the difference? The difference is the way it sounds and the way you have to organize it. So in 3/4 time, if I have 3/8 notes, I have 1.5 beats, right? 2 make 1 beat, and then the other one is a half. But I don't want 1.5 beats because I'm trying to write the same thing, so I have to make it into 1 beat, which means I have to make it into a triplet. Everybody say triplet.
Triplet.
So that means I'm squeezing 3/8 notes into 1 beat. I'm basically just kind of breaking the rule. So we say tra-la-la. Ready, go. Tra-la-la. And all of that together is one beat. So where's beat 2? Catherine, do you see beat 2? Here's beat 1. Where's beat 2?
There?
Can you come point? Yes, the next note is beat 2. Thank you. Now where is beat 3? Hiding where?
In the beat 2.
Beat 3 can't be hiding in beat 2.
Like in
Beat 2 has its own existence. Myra?
In the dotted quarter.
In the dot, specifically, the beginning of beat 3 is there. So if I used all eighth notes for beats 2 and 3, the dotted quarter note gets 2, right? Catherine, can you come sit back up here, please? Thank you. The dot adds the beginning of beat 2, so all that's left is the last eighth note, and when I write it by itself, I have to give it a flag, right? Not the beam. So we say tra-la-la, 2, and. Ready, go. Tra-la-la, 2, and. You gotta wait for 3 before you can say the and. Ready? Let's clap the beat. Ready? Go. Tra-la-la, 2, and. So when you say and, are you gonna clap? No. Ready, go. Tra-la-la, 2, and. Yay! Good job. So now we have how many beats? 1, 2. Where's beat 3?
hiding in the dot.
Everybody say it. Hiding in the dot.
Hiding in the dot.
And what's that?
The end of
The and of 3. So where does my measure line go? Olivia? Saria? No, oh, I need the and. I need to finish beat 3. There you go. Good job. And now we have another triplet. Everybody say triplet.
Triplet.
How many beats does it get? 1. Where's beat 2?
In the
It's the half note. Where is beat 3? Hiding in the half note. Now, the last measure was kind of tricky. To make 2 notes equal when I have 3 beats. It doesn't really work well, right? Because 3 isn't equal. If I have a cookie and I cut it in half, I have 2 equal parts. But if I cut it in 3, how many parts do I have?
3 equal parts. 4.
I have 3 equal parts. They're equal, but it's 3. Right? So to cut it in 2 equal parts isn't really possible with a cookie. So in the music, I had to put 1.5 beats in each note, which you really just wouldn't do in 3/4 time because it doesn't make sense, right? But I had to do it because I was trying to make it like the 6/8 time. Okay, so if we listen to the difference with 6/8 time and 3/4, this is the 6/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can you hear the groups of 3? 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now if I play the same thing in 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Very different. It doesn't really work. You wouldn't really write a rhythm like that in 3, 4. It would end up having to be in 2, 4 or 4, 4. Right?
And are there any known pieces which contain that such error?
Well, I mean, composers absolutely try to fool around with it. And some of the early rock bands I discovered very late in life, like the Giants and early Genesis when they were still experimental, they did a lot of fooling around with rhythm and time signatures, even trying to write songs where some played in 3, 4 and some played in 6, 8 at the same time. And so a few classical composers have attempted that as well. So yes, people absolutely play around with it. Is it successful? Is it stuff people gravitate towards to listen to? Not so much. Not so much.
Because I heard that some African tribes, they dance to different parts of the bodies, dance to different beats.
Well, yes, but African music, hi Dad, African music doesn't happen in time. It's not metered. So African music is not Western art music. All of these conversations only apply to Western art music. It doesn't apply to Asian music, it doesn't apply to African music, it doesn't apply to world music. It only applies to Western art music, which is what you're learning how to play. So African music is very difficult to notate because they don't meter it and they don't have a sense of tonality of key. So they don't necessarily have a fixed pitch either, where they're always going to start on the note A or even just any given pitch. So it's very, very different, but if you're interested in more, my father has a doctorate in this, so I'm happy to give you his phone number if you really want to understand African tribal music. So, key signature. We are in treble clef. What is in our key signature, Giovanni?
3, 4.
That's our time signature. What's in our key signature? Is it a sharp or a flat?
A flat.
It's a flat. How many flats, Mabel?
3,
How many flats do you see?
1.
B flat.
Yes, one flat. It is B flat, yes. So, Myra, come circle a note that is affected by the key signature. Find a note that looks like a B, but it's really a B flat, yes. Catherine, do you see the other one? Olivia, do you see the other one? Good. Sergio, do you find another one? Kira. Yep. So even though they look like B's, because we have the flat at the beginning of the line, they are all B flats. Right? Okay, now we have one more. We're in good old 4/4 time. Giovanni, please look up here. Raise your hand if you can add the missing measure line. Myra. Yep. Can anybody sing it in their head and tell me what song it is? Some of the pianists won't know, like only pianists, but if you've been around the violinist, you might know. It is May song.
Yes.
And what do we have in our key signature?
Bunch of sharps.
A bunch of sharps. Olivia, how many sharps do we have? Right, we have 3. What are they? From left to right, please. Catherine, what's the first sharp?
F.
F sharp, and then?
C sharp.
And then?
G sharp.
G sharp, well done. So we have F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. Kira, did you have something to add?
Did you say that it's in A?
It is in the key of A major. And remember what we said last week, if we have 2 sharps, they always have to be F sharp and C sharp, and they always have to be in that order. So if we have 3 sharps, it always has to be F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp, and it always has to be in that order, and it has to be in that octave. The F sharp always has to go on the top line, the C sharp always has to go in the middle, and the G sharp always has to go up here.
But what if someone makes the G sharp, the G above the starting A? What if someone does that?
Above the what?
Can I show you? What if someone makes the G sharp right here? Is that allowed?
It is.
Well, wait, come back and look. Why?
You said
Draw me what you
that
mean.
they're not allowed to put the order like right there.
Well, that's not the key signature, right? The key signature has to be collected behind the time signature. Second of all, that's a B sharp.
One note down.
So third of all, if I put a G sharp here, my question would be why? What purpose is that sharp serving, Giovanni?
Note.
But there's no G. So I just have this random sharp sitting in the middle of my song. Hi, sharp. That's an F.
But if there would be a note on the height of G, then
But
it would not require the hashtag because it's
Right.
already noted in the signature, right?
it's a sharp. Thank you.
But if it would be a different
It's not a
scale,
hashtag, it's a sharp. Everybody say sharp.
sharp.
Thank you. So yes, if it were the note G, it would automatically be considered a G sharp because it's in the key signature. Now, if I was in the key of D
It's a-
and I wanted a G sharp, then I would write it in as an accidental. Yes, Kira?
But then the minor line cancels the sharp. When you join
Right.
it.
If I use it as an accidental after that measure line, if I change that to a G, it's a G. It's not a G sharp. If I want a G sharp again, I have to draw it again. And if I'm using a lot of G sharps, I have to wonder if I'm really in the key of D, or if I'm actually writing a song in the key of A, and I should stop writing all those G sharps and just put it over here and be done with it. Right? So that's why we have the key signatures. It makes it much easier to understand. Okay?
And cleaner whiteboard.
Yes. Cleaner printing in general, right? Cheaper printing, faster printing, because you have, especially in the days when they had to set everything by hand, right? Can you imagine all these pieces with so many notes and they had to put it all by hand? So every time there was a sharp, actually, and then they had to write it out by hand, right? Before there was a printing press, Bach was writing everything by hand. Mozart was writing everything by hand. Do you think they wanted to draw a sharp every 2 notes? Or a flat every 2 notes? They're like, I am so sick of these sharps and flats. So there we go. Much easier. Does that make sense? Okay. So what composer have we been talking about in February?
Ludwig.
Ludwig who?
Beethoven.
Van Beethoven. Everybody say it. Ludwig van Beethoven. It could be Von, it could be Van. Yeah, we can talk about that another year. Von, it's part of a title-ish, kind of. Yeah, it's outside of the scope of our study. So, what have we learned about Beethoven so far? What instruments did he play? No, Myra, he did not play the piano. Why did he not play the piano?
Because there was no piano.
There was no piano. What did he play?
Harpsichord.
Or
Clavichord.
clavichord or
Forte piano.
piano forte, forte piano. Or the square piano, right? In the museum in Austria and Vienna, I mentioned that they had a square piano from Beethoven. Okay, and what else do we know about him? Was he like Mozart? Did he travel Europe performing at a young age?
No.
Why not?
His father was not nice.
What?
Because his father didn't let him.
No, his father wanted him to make some money for the family.
Because his father wanted him to play the songs because his father wanted him to play the songs that he wanted him and not his songs.
Right. Beethoven only wanted to play his own songs. He didn't want to learn the music of other people. When he was older, he did. Right? We found out that he went and he studied with Mozart and he studied with other people and he learned music that people had written. But as a child, he wanted to make his own songs. And so he couldn't be turned into a performing monkey. So, and we learned what about his father? He wasn't very nice. He didn't take good care of the family.
He wasn't there very often, and their grandpa took care of the family.
Right, his father.
They
And
didn't
then,
have lots of money, and because the dad was spending it all.
yes, you guys remember a lot. So how old was Beethoven when he started working?
16.
That's when he got his big job, but he started working when he was 11 or 12, yeah. So you guys only have a few more years, right?
No.
Yeah, that's illegal
Yes.
now. Well, Edu already made money playing.
What?
Wait, what? Yeah, Edu was playing in a cafe and he made €6, so
Just like that.
get going. Oh, and then what was happening at the end of our story last week? He was starting to get very upset and very frustrated. Why? Kira?
He was getting stuff.
Because he was losing his hearing. So he had to stop performing. He tried to keep conducting, but he was up there doing one thing and the orchestra was playing something
He
else.
would go crazy because he would jump up.
Yeah, yeah. So here we are. In his later years, because of increasing deafness, Beethoven had more and more trouble getting along with people. He stayed by himself for long periods of time. His few visitors had to converse with him in writing. Right? He can't hear, so if somebody comes over to see him, they have to write everything down, right, Mabel? He composed fewer pieces, but the ones he did compose had far deeper musical thought than any he had composed before. One of the last compositions that Beethoven wrote was the Ninth Choral Symphony. So his Ninth Symphony, he wrote it for a very large orchestra, but also for a choir to sing with this orchestra. That had not been done before. The performance included solo singers, a large chorus, and a large orchestra. Beethoven attended the concert and, sitting among the musicians, followed the written pages of music. When the piece ended, Beethoven was unaware of the applause for him. One of the singers reached over and tugged at his sleeve and motioned for him to stand up. He had not heard the thunderous applause in his honor. His turning around, the singer later said, and the sudden conviction thereby forced on everybody that he had not done so before, because he could not hear what was going on, acted like an electric shock on all present, and a volcanic explosion of sympathy and admiration followed, which was repeated again and again and seemed as if it would never end. So when he didn't stand up to acknowledge the clapping, everybody realized that he had written this amazing piece of music without being able to hear a single note. That's pretty amazing, that kind of music was in his heart and in his head. Beethoven, now 57 years old and completely deaf, spent the summer with his younger brother at his estate in the country. On the way back to Vienna, he became ill with pneumonia. During his illness, many friends came to be with Beethoven. Some people sent him gifts. One gift came from London. It was a set of 40 books of compositions by George Frederick Handel. Although Beethoven was now too weak to play the piano, he asked his friends to bring the books to his bed. "I have long wanted them," he said, "for Handel was the greatest, most skilled composer that ever lived. I can still learn from him." So he could read the music and hear it in his head. He could sing it in his head. He didn't have to play it on the piano to be able to hear Handel's music. Another gift arrived. It was a picture of Haydn's birthplace. Beethoven told the young man who was caring for him that day, "Look what arrived today. It was in this home that a great man was born." Beethoven never recovered from his illness. 3 days after he died, 20,000 people gathered at his funeral to say goodbye to the musician. 20,000 people. Even now, that's a lot of people, right? And back then, it was really like there for sure weren't 20,000 people in the village where he was living.
We don't even have that many followers on Instagram, you know?
As he had wished to do with his music, Beethoven had spoken to his God. So our listening wake up. I was going to do something else, but we'll do it next week. There we go. No, come on. There we go. Maybe. You might recognize this Ninth Symphony of his. It's an hour and 20 minutes long. Riccardo Muti is the conductor. Remember how we've talked about how the orchestra grew? Bach only had like 20 people, So we're gonna skip to the finale. Look at how many bases. 8 bases. I don't think we've seen more than 4 before, right? Timpani. Notice how he's using the same motif like we talked about last week. Ba-bum, ba-bum. That's the first thing we heard in the beginning. Finally! It's almost happy. Nope. Do you recognize that? No? Do you recognize that?
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's usually called Ode to Joy.
Yeah. Let's bring it on the paper.
Mm.
But that's also like originally was part of that symphony, right?
But it's a chorale that goes back to the time of Bach that Beethoven used for this. So he's passing the melody around the orchestra, right? First we had the lower strings, now we have the violas. And the second violins trying to pretend they're violas.
They play lower or?
The viola has the same strings as a cello, but not the depth. Bassoons. Now the first scala, first and seconds. So he started low, then he did it again in the middle, now he's doing it again up high. So he's using repetition as a compositional device.
Why do they need the conductor if they have the notes right in front of them?
You ever tried to get 4 people to agree on something? So the conductor is the one that says, this is how fast we're going. These are the dynamics we're doing. Now the brass get the theme. So it's kind of building too, right? It's much louder when the brass have it than it was when the lower strings had it. French horns. Little interlude. Whoa, what just happened?
What happens if the conductor loses his?
What?
What happens if the conductor loses his boots and just makes his stick go flying through the orchestra?
It happens. You just keep going. Now the choir's got the main theme. It's a lot of people making a lot of music. It's in German.
So already then he knew the words like from the Schiller's like poem, or was it like coming together?
I'm not sure if Schiller wrote it as a libretto.
So you think that in the symphony they sing something else?
Yeah, and it goes on for another 20 minutes. So typically when you have people singing with orchestra, like an opera or an oratorio, somebody else writes the words, and it's called a libretto. So if you were writing an opera, somebody else would write the play part of it, the storyline, and the composer would write the music-ish. I mean, maybe the composer has an idea of the story, but then somebody else actually crafts the story, because that's a different skill, right? Being able to write a play is different than being able to write music. So Schiller wrote the words. I don't remember if he wrote them for Beethoven when he did it, or I think it was already existing. Because this chorale goes back to the time of Bach. So I think that the words were around for a while. Okay, good job everyone. Up we go. And we say,
Thank you for teaching.
thank you for learning. Right, you have half an hour and then you come back.
Poczekaj.
Because all the guitarists are gone today except Alana.